Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Dr. Manon.
So welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Batista Gremaud. And I'm very excited because she actually originally came was a dancer, and then her life has changed from that point. But she is the CEO and president of Dr. Fitness International and #1 best-selling author of The Feminine Body Design, Empowering Fitness for a Pain-Free Life. She's also the co-creator of the Feminine Body Design online strength training mentoring system. So welcome, and I'm really excited to have you here. So I've got to ask, I mean, from dancer to fitness, there's obvious links, but what? Tell us a little bit. What was your journey?
Thank you for asking. It's actually, I love talking about it because it's a funny story. Well, you'll see. Anyway, and like you said, I am a former flamenco dancer and ballet dancer. So that was my profession. I started very young when I was 3 years old, and that's all I wanted to do. It was my life's purpose, my mission. My parents were both artists. My father was a mime. My mother was a ballet dancer. I started on stage when I was 3 years old, and that was my life. What happened though is in my mid-20s, I suffered some car accidents and some injuries. I broke my foot. Life happened.
Yep.
And like it does to some of us, and that left me with a lot of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And dancing was my life, my passion. So obviously, I wasn't going to quit over injuries. And so I pursued a very fulfilling, long, full dance career.
Mm-hmm.
And my life was basically in double-sided, right? On one hand, I had the glamour, the dance, the stage. And then on the other hand, it was the search for healing my injuries on ice pack, doctors, all the modalities, you name it, I did it, from more formal modalities to things more unconventional. One of my passion is also spirituality. And so I went that route with all the mental, positive thinking, hypnosis. Anyway, I did everything. And I worked with personal trainers. I stretched. I was healthy as a dancer. I had to keep, my weight, my health, because dancing is a very difficult job.
Right.
When you do it professionally, you're on your feet, 12 hours a day. It's like no pain, no gain, right? The show must go on. That was my life. And what happened is when I reached my mid-40s, basically I hit a wall. It was like my injuries were so bad and I was losing the grip on my body. And basically, for me, it was like I was looking at losing my career, really, because I couldn't go on like this. And then one day I had a moment of clarity. It was in a meditation class. The topic was body, mind, spirit integration. And I woke up and I said, well, what do you mean body, mind, spirit integration? This is all good, but I know all this. I have 30 years in studying body, mind, spirit integration, and I can't get a grip on my body.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a piece of the puzzle missing in my life that was really missing. And I made an intention that I was going to find that piece of the puzzle missing. I wanted my body back. I wanted that integration. And so I prayed, I did everything that I had ever learned about anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next day I met Dr. Fitness USA. So, it was by accident. I was waiting to talk to an owner of a restaurant where I was going to have put a job, a dance show. And I was there. It was lunchtime, and this kind of bodybuilder walked in to have lunch there. And we made eye contact, and, then he came by my table, and he said, well, who are you? And I said, well, I'm Batista. And then I said, who are you? And he said, I'm an international body designer.
Designer. Ah.
Designer. And, you know, I just the night before, I had put together this whole meditation with a group. I was holding meditation in my studio, and we lit candles, and we did this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And then right there, the next day, this international body designer just happens to just be in front of me. So I said, well, that's what I need. and that was the beginning of an amazing journey, because everything that he was telling me was completely different than anything that I knew about fitness. And trust me, I knew everything.
Or so you thought, yes.
Or so I thought, right? And then he was telling me about never doing anything that's uncomfortable, but then you have to lift weight, and sometimes you have to lift heavy weight, but you have to work out from a female perspective. And these were all concepts that didn't fit in the same sentence. Excuse me. I was hurt. Lifting weight, that sounds difficult and uncomfortable and painful. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was puzzled, because it was really it didn't make any sense, but I prayed, and there it was. And I know enough to know that when you pray for something and then something comes into your life, even if it doesn't look like what you were expecting, it's a good idea to open the door.
To investigate, yes.
Yeah. So I hired him.
But before we go there, I'm just curious. So
yes.
you already understood the body, mind, spirit connection.
Yes.
But did you identify what part of all of this wasn't fulfilled or wasn't there? No, you just knew some part was missing.
I knew some part was missing.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know what it was. And I expected it to come into some type of spiritual vision.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I did not expect it to come into a strength training program. Certainly not. I had no clue. Because literally I had tried just about everything, you know, from the mindset aspect of things, from the physiotherapy, from, you know, everything. And so, no, I did not know what was missing. I just knew something was missing, because, you know, body, mind, spirit, and your body's falling apart. That's not right.
Yeah. Right? Well, it's interesting to have already been at the point to know that the universe does procure something if you pay attention, right? There's signs, right? And to at least go, even though there would have been resistance, I would think, you know, if I received strength training, like, wait a minute here, you know?
Yes.
I totally get that. Anyway, go on with your story.
Yeah, I was very resistant, because, you know, I had all the misconceptions, the false belief system that now I know is false belief system, especially with strength training, bodybuilding for women. I was a dancer. I didn't want to get bulky. I couldn't even lift. I had a frozen shoulder just right there. I couldn't move my arm almost at all. And so you want me to lift? You know, I was like probably the worst case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, you know, I figured the conversation is different, and I never quite heard anything like that conversation in fitness. So you know, I hired him. I said, sure, you know, I'll try. I'll do it. And so a couple of weeks later, I ended up at Gold's Gym Venice, the mecca of bodybuilding, where all the big bodybuilders work out, of all things, right? And me with my little tights, and, you know, like, whoa, it was quite intimidating, I have to say. And in my first session, I leg pressed over 300 pounds comfortably. Me who couldn't move my arm, I was chest pressing 25 pounds dumbbells. I resisted it. I think it took me at least half an hour to do it. I was going, don't you know I'm hurt? I can't do it. I can't do it. And you just stay there and say, oh, yes, you can. Yeah, and then I did it.
Yeah. So I mean, that's clearly would be a misconception. So, well, could you explain that? Like, because that seems counterintuitive for sure.
Yes.
And so what is like give us some of these misconceptions that really differentiates the approach that your husband and you are both doing.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what happened. And I'll come back to this question is by doing this, within a couple of days, my backache was gone and all my injuries disappeared. And so I ended up marrying him and researching exactly this question that you're asking.
Yeah.
What is it? Because I was so fascinated about the process that I wanted to know everything. Okay. And that has been my journey since then. It was 12 years ago. It was 2008. And I looked for the answers to this question you're just asking. And this is actually how I ended up writing my book, Feminine Body Design, Empowering Fitness for a Pain-Free Life, because these were actually all the myths that I discovered. And basically I had to relearn everything. Yeah. And so to answer your question is Stephen, his name is Stephen, also known as Dr. Fitness USA, developed a system, okay, that is based on a certain sequence of exercise that is very carefully crafted together with ergonomics. So the body is always supported when you do the movements, okay? And the first principle of every formulas, we call them prescription or formulas, is to correct postural alignment. Because in the system, that is the foundation of the body, because the spine is actually what is going to hold your body up. And then if it's out of alignment, or then your muscles are also tweaked and out of alignment, then you're always going to be out of alignment, and it's going to do a domino effect.
Right.
And this is oftentimes what is missing, we find with chiropractic treatment or other modalities that work with pain. They can be really efficient, but then if you don't rebuild the musculature, around the spine, then the muscles are always going to pull you off. So that's one of the first things. So the formulas, the strength training prescriptions that we put together are always first looking at realigning the posture and then correcting muscular imbalances. That's the first thing, right?
Okay, and I don't know if that's possible to explain without showing, but how does one do that? What's the mechanism for this realignment?
Well, I can tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Then I have to what?
To kill you.
I see. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
It's not okay. I still. Okay, the general principle. How about that?
Okay. All right. Well, I will give you a couple of examples.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, a lot of people have bad posture because the society, whatever, computers, cell phones.
Sure.
So one of the prominent posture condition is forward head position. A lot of people walk around like this because we're on cell phones and everything. So the mistake they make when they work out, they're going to work out like this.
Right.
Okay. So let's say they will do a lat pull down exercise. Okay. They're like this, and they're going to do it like this. So then we're going to make things worse. So for us, we find a way of, depending on the piece of equipment they have, we find a way so the bar will fall behind the
Yeah.
back, and we will work on now pulling back and correcting that slowly and rebuilding the muscles that push the shoulder back. So then
Okay.
the head will realign. That's one example.
Okay.
There are many others, okay? Basically, it's a little bit of common sense and then some knowledge on ergonomics.
Right.
Because if you look at the exercises that are commonly done in the gym, you will see that some of them really are really forcing the body in that position, and then is finding a way to do the exercise in a different way, where the body is in proper alignment and then doing the movement that build the synergetic muscles that hold the posture up.
Right. So it's working with the synergetic muscles in, like, I'm thinking of, with Feldenkrais methodology, that also is a way of realigning posture, because they have that. I mean, the work that I do, as you know, Bowen therapy, also realigns posture. That's one of the mechanisms by which we maintain better positioning to be able to go back to whatever life in general, including exercise, right?
Yes.
So but here, so that's part of it, is slowly re-educating the muscles. That's part of it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
In the proper position, in the proper alignment, and then rebuilding the
That's through exercise, then, it sounds like.
And through exercise and through strength training specifically.
Right.
Because you can do things through exercise, but like if you do free exercise, like yoga and things like this, you can't control it as much.
No, that's right. Yeah.
You see what I mean? And it's easier to compensate. We all have a stronger side. Yeah. And then if you already have bad posture, your tendencies to do, like they say, oh yeah, I want to get strong. I want to work on my posture. Now I'm doing planks.
Right.
You see what I mean? So a lot of it is common sense and just, or cycling.
Right.
Hi, it's Dr. Manon, and I just want to take a moment, commercial break, to ask you to subscribe to my podcast and kindly leave a comment if you're enjoying this. And also, just to let you know, I have tips for people in health looking for solutions to just a variety of issues. It's more like an attitude of health, and they're entertaining short videos, and you can find those under drmanonbolliger.com/tip. The link is here, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So definitely. There is a second principle, though, that is very important, if I may.
Absolutely.
Talk about it.
I want to find out.
Yeah, it's strength, rebuilding strength. Okay, so it goes hand in hand with rebuilding the musculature. But when you rebuild strength, strength is what we start losing as of age 30. The muscle loss syndrome. If we don't do a strength training program, then we're going to start losing muscle mass, and then the hormones start changing, and then it's kind of again the snowball effect, and then we become weaker and weaker. So in our system, we work towards increasing a person's strength by 20 to 50%, and when we see people face to face, it can be 50% and up. Now that we work online, we have to be a little more careful. So 20, 30, it takes a little bit longer, because we have to first ensure that the person has the technique and the form of the exercise properly, so that they don't, get hurt. And then we have to increase that strength more gradually. But when the body is grounded, ergonomically safe, And now, and this is what happened to me when I was doing my 25 pounds the first day with my frozen shoulder, or even my 350 pounds in the leg press with my backache that was horrifying. It had to do with the ergonomic and the sequence of exercise. And what happens is it that strength is immediate. And what it does is it produces a sense of calm to the brain. The endorphins, whatever you want to call it, but the mind goes really quiet, and it's a sense of accomplishment, and that is hard to explain. So it's stress management, but the way I also like to explain it, and this is also part of my research and discovery on all these years of researching this, is that it has to do with the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Because the nervous system is like the electrical panel in your house. When it's on
Right.
overload, it's going to blow a fuse. And most of us are walking around with outdated electrical panels.
Yep.
Let's face it.
Waiting for an accident.
Yes. And so then we go to get in shape, and then we want to get well, and we go work out, and now we're going to do the no pain, no gain thing, and we're going to push ourselves, and we're going to, do all these things. And this is just like plugging in an extra appliance on an already overloaded
system.
So we don't do this. Everything comfortable, everything quiet, everything safe, everything with a proper form, the proper postural alignment, and then when that happens and you put all that together, then you can do things that you never thought possible.
So I'm very intrigued with the frozen shoulder, particularly because that's definitely, how in practice sometimes you have one person and then suddenly you've got 400 people with the same issue, and you're like, oh my goodness, okay, now I need to really understand this phenomena. And some of the things I've witnessed with people with, diagnosed not just by me, but by other doctors with frozen shoulder, I would not believe, though I saw it, that people can heal so quickly, because we're told it's going to take 2 years, there's going to be enormous pain, et cetera, et cetera. And I have noticed that sometimes it takes a little bit longer, yes, but many people respond in like 3 to 5 weeks in a significant way and don't have pain. So I'm my challenge and my desire is to understand. So I'm seeing you with frozen shoulder, the way most people walk in and they just they go like this, and then it's like, I can't. And you try and get them to move, their entire body moves because they can't lift it further. How does that work? Like that I just I don't know if it can be explained, but so you're positioned perfectly well so that the right muscles are activated. But how does it work? Like, did you feel pain? No.
The frozen shoulder, I think, I had a lot of injuries. Okay, I had neck, back injury, knees, Achilles, my hips. I had problems, the shoulder. So I had a lot of things. I think that the frozen shoulder is the thing that took the longest.
Right, which is normal, yeah.
To heal. I think maybe, but I saw improvements almost immediately, like in the first week even.
Yeah.
The movements that I was doing that were specifically put for me in my exercise program never hurt. Okay, even the first time when I went to do this 25 pounds and I said, I can't move my arm. How do you want me to do this? At 25 pounds, it's heavy. 25 pounds in each hand.
Yes.
And I was petrified, and it was the fear that prevented me for doing it, because when I actually walked through the fear And, at one point I knew that I was not going to go home unless I did it,
Right.
because they were there. They had all day, and so I said, okay, they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a while. And if they didn't think it was possible, then they wouldn't ask me to. And then I just kind of took that leap of faith.
Right.
Also because I wanted to go home eventually also. and no, there was no pain.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And later a little bit of soreness and
Sure.
things, that's normal. More so, I think, because of the muscles now being reactivated.
Exactly. Yeah. The lactic acid and whatever was stored.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think for like the first week, I started regaining more motion in the shoulder. And then they were able to add some more exercises. And some of them were painful, but then there was always a way of adjusting the angle of the movement so that we could bypass the pain and still do the movement without pain. And slowly it just reactivated, because when you don't move, actually, that's the worst thing you can do, because then everything atrophies. Right. And so I think after 6 months, maybe, then the pain was entirely gone, but progressively better really fast. And to answer your question, it's really part of the formulas and the sequence of the exercise of what comes before.
Right. Yeah.
Also,
you're preparing the body, basically.
Yes. Yeah, because we also notice that a lot of times people come and they have a pain somewhere, and then they just want to treat the pain.
Right.
But the pain could come from somewhere else.
Exactly.
There's imbalances that happen. And so that's why we don't ever look at just the pain. We always look at the whole body and prepare the body for that for that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because obviously there's so many compensations.
Yes.
Like you were pointing out earlier. Well, that's fascinating. I'm really curious to know more, because one of the big pleasures I have in the methodology, that I teach it with my college, is that we don't cause pain. And people believe that, pain is gain and hard is better, and and all these misconceptions, and I get the pleasure of seeing that that's not true. And I have not really come across a modality that works with strengthening the muscle, which is complementary to what we do, because we don't focus on that part particularly. That has, I can't say similar principles, but that deals with the same misconceptions, that people have. So anyway, it's fascinating to me. And then what I also really think is interesting, it's a mental block, the fear, right? It really is that. And I understand trust and all that has to come for you to surrender to it. But how much our minds can, because of our beliefs or because we believe we're going to injure ourselves, how sometimes that's not wired properly. Absolutely. They're really unquestioned thoughts. So anyway, what a fascinating story. So then what happened?
Okay. So then what happened? Okay, so I married him. I started researching, and I came up with all these answers. And then my vision was to be able to offer this system to more people, basically, because back then the knowledge was entirely in Stephen's head. It was very intuitive, and everything was one-on-one, and it was like each project, each client was kind of like commissioning a beautiful piece of art to the person, except that the art is their body, right? So every very one-on-one customized, and the investment was quite high. And for me, it's like I was desperate. It's not like I had the money, but you know, I figured if you have your body and your health, you always can make more money. But not everybody
agrees with that, yeah, or thinks that through, but you're right.
you know, so for me, I had a vision to expand, and I had a vision to, just be able to scale all this.
Right.
So not only with the research that I've done, and then I started teaching the clients, I became a personal trainer, and then I became an apprentice body designer, where I would design the programs for the people and then compare notes, and then learn like this, of basically learning to think like him and to see the body like him. So then I graduated into a body designer, and together we were able to actually scale the system into something that we were able to put online. And
wow, great.
Yes. So we put the system online about 5 years ago. That was a good thing.
Yes. Impeccable timing again.
Yes.
Prepared, right?
Yes, even though we were not prepared for the gyms to close. That we were not.
Yeah.
Because the system was still based on gym equipment, and and so of course last year with the gyms closing, we had to really reinvent a lot of things to do them from home, and we're pleased with the work we did last year. But yeah, so that's what happened. We've been scaling and online, and this year we are actually expanding to corporate wellness. So we're really looking forward to scale even more and reach even more people, because we see the need with what's happening, and a lot of the workforce now that's working remotely at home, and a lot of depression and health.
So what do you have, like, people who would want more information, or to be in touch with you, or take one of your trainings? What do you have for people to have a look at what you do?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I put together a gift for people. It's called Are You Zoomed Out? Get Your Body Back.
Okay.
And it's a 5-day roadmap to basically get off the chair and started moving and strengthening those areas that get atrophied when you sit for long hours, such as
the butt,
and
the Zoom butt,
but also wrists.
Yes,
Like carpal tunnel, you don't see it coming, and then one day it's there, and there's simple things that people can do to prevent or even reverse. So the 5-day roadmap is just very small exercises and stretches and things that that will take no more than 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like this huge commitment, but if you start doing it, then you'll see considerable changes in the way you feel, in your energy level, and also in neck tension, back pain, wrist pain. And that's a great place to start. And that you can find the information on our website, which is drfitnessusa.com or drfitnessinternational.com. One is for individuals and one is for corporate wellness. So whoever you are, if you are in a CEO or HR department of a medium to large size company, and you wanted more information for your employees, that would be drfitnessinternational.com. And if you are an individual, and by the way, we do really well with professions like dentists, golf, tennis, that have these types of overuse injuries. We've had amazing results.
Wonderful. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to find out a bit more, and thank you so much for sharing this with my community.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me, and anytime.
Yeah, and I think we probably need to do a follow-up discussion.
I think so.
I have some ideas.
Okay, let's do that.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very
at
much.
Healers Café with Dr. Manon. For more information, go to drmanonbolliger.com.